Hello my fellow gamers and welcome once again to Perafilozof City Skylines videos. Before I start today's video, I just need to show you one mod. It's called Fill the Houses. If you have watched my previous videos, you have noticed that I had a problem with high density buildings not being filled up to their maximum capacity for households. This is a mod that fixes that problem. Now, the little trick in my city is that I cannot use this mod now that I have made so many buildings, because it would throw out the balance that is already very fragile, so I cannot use this at a city that I've already built. It's a good mod to use when you're starting a new city. So once again, I'm thanking my subscribers for posting good mods for me and for me to show to you. So let's continue building up the city in which I plan to reach 1 million population. In the previous episodes I had switched some of the forestry industry for generic industry because of the problem with the workers and the uneducated, because I didn't want to have a problem anymore with unemployment. The unemployment kind of always sticks to these 3%. I haven't seen it go down below 3% in a very long time, but I have increased the available number of jobs by a lot by deleting the previous industry that was forestry that took only 16 workers per 4x4 building. The industry, when leveled up to level 3, requires 32 workers, so double the amount. So I need double the amount of teams to be working in these factories. Now that will produce a lot of goods, and I'm already exporting goods, so now I can build more high density commercial buildings and use the policy for big business benefactor to my heart's content. I've already started doing that. I had a full line here built instead of the forestry industry, and I think I will do the same on this side here, as I have built far more high density residential in these areas now that there used to be. So I'm betting that they want to have more of the goods to buy. I can see that this industry here is exporting goods, so I might as well have more buildings for them to sell their goods to in these areas. I have also made an expansion here, which is just waiting for a good opportunity to start zoning and building up buildings. Like I said, over here I can switch again some of the forestry for some more high density commercial buildings. I noticed that I say usually commercials instead of commercial buildings. I know commercials means like TV spots for selling goods and services. It's just my shorthand for saying commercial buildings. Over here I did leave some offices, but they are now being polluted a lot by all this industry. I may as well move them over here and have more generic industry here. I will see how that influences the traffic. Some of the generic industry does go abandoned. It's the ones that do not upgrade to level 2 and 3. The ones that do upgrade to level 2 and 3 have no problems getting workers. Only the industry that stays at lower levels has a problem getting workers. Well, this one here doesn't have workers. Zone more residential. So yeah, even some level 2 buildings can have a shortage of workers. But that is mostly because I have previously destroyed a lot of the residential zones in these neighborhoods. You can see here that I added double lines of commercial areas over here. I had places where I added, you can see here, even double offices and double commercial areas, because I simply had a discrepancy between the number of workers and the number of workplaces. It's a tricky balance to achieve, especially because you have data that is shown to you through these overviews, but for the entire city you do not really have any data to see area by area, unless of course you make a district that has in it both the commercial areas, the industry, I mean all three of them, not both of them, and then you could kind of click on it and see how many workers you have in that district, or for example how many open jobs. Let's see, for example, if I click here, you see I can see how many workers I have, how many households I have, how much population in this district. But it's kind of a hard thing to zone districts that will hold together all the 3 or 4 types of buildings, because you want to be using different policies for different areas. The forestry industry that goes abandoned, I am going to keep dezoning and bulldozing, because I want those buildings to stop being built and to build more offices, commercial and generic industry. If you see sometimes the whole picture flickering like that, it's the autosave that activates every 10 minutes, so that's why sometimes the picture will stall for a second. Over here I have switched a lot of forestry. That was strange, those were 2 autosaves in a minute or so, kinda odd. Like I said, I switched some forestry industry over here and here for the generic. Alright, something is definitely wrong. I seem to be saving every few seconds. Let me just see what's going on. So I had to turn off my autosave mode. For some reason it started saving every few seconds or minutes. I'm not sure what happened to it. I will check it out later. But now to continue recording, as I said, I was switching the forestry because it was using those uneducated workers, and I kinda got rid of most of those. I'm down to 7%. I used to have over 10%. I have way more well-educated and highly educated. My educated, the ones that go through the elementary, aren't very high. I'm not entirely sure why, because I was usually having enough elementary schools, but for example the high schools, I've added some new in these areas because I have raised the density from low to high in the residential area, and I had even added a new university down here because I saw that there were very few university educated teams here compared to these areas up here. As for the power and water, I have plenty. I can expand up there. The water is staying away from the pollution, which is great. The services up there, I had built a few already. I had built the parks, I had built the incineration plant, the solar power plant. I do have a little bit of a strange zoning here problem with these streets. When they cross each other over rough terrain, they kind destroy some zones. I showed you in the previous episode. It can depend on which street you're placing. For example, you see here that there is an empty zone here, and if I connect, it's going to create an ugly zone like this. But for example, if over here, instead of deleting this one, I delete these two and now connect here, it kind of changes out how the zones are created and these squares. I would love it if somebody could actually mod this and give us a tool to make our own squares here and fix this problem. I think that buildings can be built pretty much anywhere, because if, for example, you can see here with my solar power plant here, if it has uneven ground, it's just going to create even ground for itself, and I think that the buildings do the same thing. You can see here these buildings, if it's supposed to go down, it's gonna dig itself down. If it's supposed to go up, it's gonna raise itself up. So there should be a mod to allow us to redo these zones manually, so I wouldn't end up with pieces like this, like a jigsaw puzzle. I now have some demand for residential, as I have so many jobs to fill. I've got like almost 4,000 jobs to fill with workers, and that's mostly in the new generic industry areas, and of course some of the high density areas as well, high density commercial areas. This area here is up already, and does it have its workers? 16, 12, 12, 16. So you can see lots of workers already in their place. Over here I could get some more high density commercial. All the areas I had created here as high density residential have already gone up. If I want more residents to live here, I can zone more. And this thing seems to have burned down. but I kind of do not wish to keep expanding here. I want to start expanding up here because this area is also a jig puzzle of zones and different ways that I have connected these roads, so it's much easier to actually zone up here. As I have all three demands, I hope that I can actually build up this area. As I said before, I'm going to start off with 2x4 offices up here to keep the pollution, the sound pollution from the highway away from the residential areas, and then after that I can have the residential areas up to like here, and this area here is going to have sound pollution and pollution from the incinerator and the solar power plant, so I will keep this area as more offices. Down here I had used the highway ramps because for one thing they do not create zones, so they do not ruin the zoning in these squares here, and they are also very easy to switch around like one ways, and they do not even allow for more than one car per lane, so there's just one lane there and the traffic will have to flow naturally. So is this gonna go up? It has water, the power should start connecting from here. These areas here are connected through here with the power lines, so it should have power. Once these areas become bigger, I will turn on more parks and get good coverage from these three parks. I have this cargo train terminal here ready to export any goods created by the generic industry that I will have a little bit later on down there. From the previous episodes, you know that I had some issues leveling up the generic industry. I have pretty much done all I can, giving them all the possible services, and yet I have areas here that have the area level 3 and have the area level 2, and I'm just not sure how to push it past this a little bit more. It says here it could get upgraded if I get more educated citizens, but I already have 10 overeducated people working in this building. How many more could I possibly need to get it to level up to level 3? No idea. If you guys know how to push the industry to go that extra few levels, please tell me in the comment section. I haven't checked how are my districts here, because I did switch these areas for commercial areas instead of forestry, and I might as well connect them then to this district, which has the business benefactor policy online. This is functioning nicely, although like I said, I am thinking I should move these offices over here instead of having them here where there's industry. I will use some high density commercial areas here and then offices over here. These are more high density commercial areas, so dezone the low density ones, turn them into offices, and switch the low density ones for high density commercial areas. I think I need to stop messing around with this area of the city and go about fixing up the new area. I think they should start building up these buildings now. Here we go, we have the first offices, the first residential area. I'm thinking the residential area can go up to the road, then I can have more offices. Across the road I will have the high density commercial zones, then after that the industry, the generic industry of course. Over here where I have these badly done zones, I was thinking of adding these service buildings there. Over here I could use a clinic, a crematorium, an elementary school, I will need a firehouse. For now I will use just a firehouse because I'm not building up the entire area right now, so I will just use it until I start building up more of this area. And a small police station as well. That should be pretty much everything. I will need to get the public transportation over here, so that would be a new bus line that will have to go here and be connected somehow with these bus lines, and also a metro line, which is kind of easier to connect over here to this new area. Let's see, where could I place a metro stop? I think I could even get it here. That would be pretty easy. And I can simply connect these stops from this already existing line here. That is a red line. As for the buses, I guess I should just make a new bus line here. It can start from the right, from over here, I think. So from here, the bus line ends here. Alright, I will probably need more metro stops as well. The metros do cost a lot. When I look at my budget, I'm already at 17,000 for the expenses on the metros. I am okay with it for now, but I'm going to start making Sims pay for tickets if I start running out of money. Now, it's funny to say that I could run out of money at 10 million, but if you've previously watched my videos, you know how expensive it can be to build up a new area of the city. Let's see here, more residential over here. That's another area, and if I wanted another one, it would be here, but no, I want offices so that I can build commercial areas here. There's the buses, they're already on the line, even though there's almost nobody using this area, but hopefully they soon will. How's the employment in these areas? I don't see any buildings crying for more workers. Seems to be okay. They are mostly leveled where they can be leveled. I think the next forestry area to be switched for generic industry can be this one. I had already unzoned lots of it, so I can go here and disable it as a forestry region, as a district. I think I clicked on the wrong name. Yeah, here we go, on this one. And now it's going to stop being forestry. It's going to turn into generic industry and hopefully use up the demand that's here at the moment. Alright, that's settled. How's the employment? Unemployment is at 3%, and I have reached 39,500 jobs filled out of 42,000. So I think I have increased the amount of jobs that are filled. The commercial areas jumped at the chance to build up. I guess I can have more of them here. And probably here as well. All the way to here. After them, I'm going to have more offices. And then again, residential areas. The question is, when am I actually going to get more residents to move in? You may notice that I am around 75,000 for like 5 or 6 videos now. I had, I think, reached up to almost 82 at one point, but then I had destroyed a lot of residential zones to bring the balance of jobs in these areas to a better standard, but I had ended up creating even more problems by doing that. Over here I have some industry that is zoned onto these roads that I call traffic flow roads, so I might as well bulldoze some of it in this zone as I'm working on the rest of the generic industry showing up. So the new area, already some buildings are at level 3, some are leveling at the moment, some are at level 2. I'm not entirely sure why some end up at level 2 and some can reach level 3. What exactly is the service or education level that's keeping them from reaching that level 3? For example, this one is going to say covered by more services, and you remember the building a few minutes ago that said needs more education. So it's kind of hard to figure out and pinpoint exactly what do some of these areas need in order to get to the appropriate level. Down here I guess I could get some more high density commercial areas to build up now. How about I change this low density to high density? There we go. The traffic is still holding at being pretty good. I don't see any problems. The highways are very lightly used now that I have switched around some of these areas and how they are connected to the highways. Who knows, maybe I'll do some more changes later on, and as the city grows and is interconnected with more of these areas like this. For now, I'm happy with how everything is working out. The only trouble is I think I actually forgot to connect the highway inside here to these zones. Oh my god, I did. And all the while I'm thinking I've forgotten to do something about this highway. And that was actually it. I had totally forgotten to actually connect the teams who come through this highway, through the right side here, to actually be able to get into these zones here through the highway. In here I had done it like this, so from when they're going down they have entrances. In here that could also be done the same way. For example, one ramp could go, actually could it go here? I need this spot here. Oh right, I need this spot for another incinerator. I might as well move this park right now to down here, as that spot needs to be left for the second incinerator. I think I could have placed it here and had that ramp go here. Wasted a lot of money now for no good reason, but I guess that happens. And I do need this thing to be on and start collecting the garbage from this area. I will also need more ramps that lead the traffic inside, but I do have a lot of these streets that connect, so I could end up with a lot of traffic in here. Good question. Let's see, I could remove this one here and connect it below the highways to the other ones like this, and then use this spot here to get another highway ramp to go into the traffic here. I could do the same thing down here as well, and I don't even have any cross streets here, so that will work out nicely. So 1, 2, 3 ramps. Alright, and on the left side, I'll see about that later on. Actually, what I need now are ways for the teams to get onto the highway. These were off ramps, but I need some on ramps. Over here my on ramps were placed where? These are off-ramps. And if they wish to get onto the highway, they had to go where? This could be weird. I don't remember where exactly do they go off to the highway. From these areas, I do not even see a connection. How was this even working properly when I totally forgot to give them exits to the highway from these areas? They must have been using the roads to go to the left side and then from here get onto this highway. Interestingly, that was actually working without a problem. Very interesting indeed. Do I even change this and add a way for them to go onto the highway from here? I think it might be a good idea to give them actually ways to get onto the highway from here, so that they don't always have to go to the left side of the city in order to get onto the highway. So there would be an exit here onto the highway, and I could give them one up here somewhere as well. Let's say from here to here. Now this is kind of weird that this actually happened like this, and yet it still was totally operational. I guess it is because I have made such good connections with the public transportation that they could simply get on a metro stop, exit on some other stop, spawn a vehicle there, and then find their way through the city like that. But how did the trucks go? They probably went straight for the cargo train terminals, or they went to the left side of the city and then onto the highway. That would be my best guess at this point. I wonder where could I find a spot to connect onto the highway from here. Yeah, it was when I had raised the highway and got these cross streets to go underneath it. Did I totally forget to add any on-ramps to the highway for this area of the city? These aren't the best places for ramps because they're on the same side that they enter. So when these guys go into the highway, they go into the first lane, but the first lane is supposed to be used to get into the city. So I will need to think about where else can I give them off-ramps, on-ramps, and not be so close to the off-ramps. But considering that it's operating properly, I'm not going to change anything until I have some time to look into this a bit more. So how are these zones up here? The offices have built up, the commercial areas have managed to build up, only the residential areas are very slow at building up. I didn't check my power in a while, but I'm still good for another 100 megawatts, so that's fine. I guess I'm now up to a gigawatt. And over here I could have turned on these parks. They should have access to power now. Actually, this one is a bit too far to have access to power. And one of these buildings will have to be built here as a residential for it to get a connection to the power supply. This would be another block of residential, and then I would have another block here that would leave two spaces here. Because that's a residential area, these spaces would have to be offices. And then after the offices go the commercial areas. and after the commercial areas finally comes the industry. Now there may be a problem with power or not. Excellent. They managed to draw their own power from these areas. Now I can create new districts here. This would be the generic industry district. This one up here is going to be offices and commercial buildings. They will have the policy for increased taxes for offices and big business benefactor. This zone here would be a residential zone. This is again offices and commercial. I will keep using the recycling and pet ban to reduce the amount of garbage produced, because there's simply a huge amount of garbage to be burned and I don't want to have like 5 incinerators per every corner burning trash. Another area to have raised taxes for offices and big business benefactor. Wonder how much of the... yeah, now my goods are half the exports, so around 3,000 goods are being exported. That's the problem that I had envisioned that would happen if I had to change my specialized industry for generic industry. I would have a gazillion goods to export because there wouldn't be enough commercial areas that could actually spend it all. Smoke detector distribution for the industrial area, and this small area of residential, if I can even create a district without destroying the office district. That kind of worked. Recycling pet ban. Alright, so always a demand for more commercial buildings and more industry. Almost... wow! Unemployment at just 2%. That's a first after so long. I think I can now turn on the cargo train station, the cargo train terminal, because it's gonna start being useful for the industry to start exporting. Everything here is covered by the parks, by the services from here. I don't have a high school here. That's something I could do with. Let's see, where do I put the high school? How about here? That will work. I can pretty much build up more industry here if I will have the workers for it. They seem to say not enough workers at the moment, but they are level 1s and 2s, so hopefully the workers will be available soon. The amount of jobs that I have to be filled is 43,700, while I have around 42,000 people who are employed. I hope I won't have any problems with that. The forestry area that used to be here is completely switched for generic industry, and I could finish this up with adding just a little bit more of generic industry here. Well, I believe this was enough for this video. Thank you all for watching, and please stay tuned for more.